It's said that on this battlefield, the ghosts of soldiers still roam. Published by Dark 3 in July of 2019, a man is exploring a region where hostilities took many lives. The tree-heavy area features a couple of towers and a brick wall, dividing them. Despite the rather average-looking landscape, the cameraman says strange things are often observed here. After zooming in on the tower, the camera scans the tower from the top to the ground, which is covered by brush and trees. It is behind one of these trees that he captures a glimpse of a strange creature. It's hard to tell what this is. It looks hauntingly like an unearthly figure crouched down almost out of view. Its coloring does not blend with its surroundings, making me think there's a good chance this could be CGI, and that appears this is the case. So I guess that explains what this thing is doing here, because it certainly doesn't look of this world. This window washer is apparently unconcerned with keeping his life, let alone his job. The brazen worker sees nothing wrong with standing on a ledge that's so narrow. He has to spread his feet outwards just to keep any semblance of traction. And of course, the only way to wash the window in this position is to fully shut it. Notice how there's no safety harness or any other equipment for that matter. If he loses his balance now, the only way to fall is straight down. Meanwhile, he has to rely on a spotter to open the window from the inside to let him back in. And when it's finally time to open the window, he has to wedge his arms in the frame and hold one of the most awkward positions I've ever seen. The cameraman, who is panicking for him, pans down to the ground to show that this video is not a joke. This is a drop he absolutely would not survive. A group of friends are poking around just outside of the legal limits of Area 51 when they make a strange discovery. At first, the creature appears to blend in with the scenery, but look closely and you can make out a long head and a curly tail.
Super slow too.
What is that, dude?
Did you just change shape?
Yes. Look at this, dude. Look, look, look.
The creature stands up and appears to turn towards them. It must have a very good sense of hearing because its body language suggests that it has been startled by them. Suddenly, it disappears in a thin lay of bright white light, never to be seen again. If aliens can escape this easily, it's no wonder why they have rarely been filmed. Another explanation for this video, of course, is the possibility of CGI. While crossing a bridge on a foggy night, this motorist witnessed a live vanishing act. Posted to TikTok, a biker is seen up ahead. The motorist looks right and then left while crossing the bridge. The biker is still in front of him, but he is getting more and more lost in the fog, and then suddenly the biker disappears altogether, even as the fog clears up ahead. Where did he go? Wherever he went, humans were clearly not meant to see it. This video shows a phenomenon known as angel hair, in which strands of silk-like threads fall to the ground for several hours at a time. Scientists have tried to explain this as certain species of spiders migrating, though I don't see any spiders in this video at all. Stranger still, angel hair has been reported falling in areas that are freezing and have snow. If this really is due to spiders, then shouldn't there be activity in colder areas? A sports bike enthusiast named 6'4" Honda has a YouTube channel full of adventures taken on the open road. Today he is riding down the shoulder lane through heavy traffic, which puts 6'4" Honda on edge, and for good reason, as you'll see.
Be careful on this one. Watch out for your mirrors.
Literally 2 seconds after warning to be careful, a black pickup truck decides to make a U-turn to get out of the traffic.
What the f is backing up? I shouldn't be doing it.
6'4" Honda quickly accelerates and barely manages to get out of the way in time. He doesn't even waste his energy confronting the driver and simply continues going down the road, glad to still be in one piece. Based on his reaction, I would say this is not the first time something like this has happened to him, and sadly it probably won't be the last. What happens when a flight goes haywire mid-air? Passengers of JetBlue Flight 292 found out firsthand on their flights from California to New York, a flight that ended in flames, smoke, and sparks. After the flight took off from Burbank's Bob Hope Airport, an indicator light came on noting that there was an issue with the landing gear. The front tires of the airplane had swiveled sideways and were frozen there, as the retraction gear hadn't fully retracted. With 146 passengers on board, the airliner swung laps in the California sky for 3 hours to burn off fuel, so that their emergency landing wouldn't be so fiery. They were told to land at LAX, as it was supplied with more emergency equipment and a longer runway on which to land. The pilot would land it using primarily the back wheels of the airliner. All the while, people were watching this scary event live at home on TV. Passengers were watching it on their tiny TV monitors on the back side of each seat. Loads of emergency equipment sat ready on the runway, while more than 100 firefighters awaited the landing. Time stood still, with thousands stopping on highways and watching from nearby buildings. As the jetliner made its final approach, passengers were told to get in the brace position as they prepared for landing. Needless to say, many feared for their lives in this moment, but the pilot managed to land softly on the runway, on the plane's back wheels. It was the smoothest landing I ever had, one passenger said. As its front end touched down, friction sent up plenty of sparks and blaze, but the fire subdued quickly. The passengers, and everyone watching, were relieved that this scary, intense event didn't end up much worse. Applause broke out on board for the pilots and crew. The pilot's cool-headed grit has since been praised the world over, as it should be. A man follows footprints across a vast and frozen landscape at night, with only his camera light to guide him. The sound of each step amplified by crisp, fallen snow crushed underfoot. The mysterious footprints trail off at a lone tree, evenly split down the middle. He looks up, two peering eyes reflect back at him, and he immediately runs away. The eyes are low and spread apart, so it could be some wildlife, maybe an owl, but that still doesn't explain why the footsteps lead directly to this spot, nor does it explain what happened at 38 seconds, when this creature might close one eye to give a knowing wink. Loose-fitting Wagon rubber mask are what Edward Paisnell would wear when going after children and adults alike, up and down throughout the 60s and 70s. The mask itself seems to retain a permanent half smirk, even with no one wearing it, almost as if it's satisfied after inflicting unspeakable misery upon countless innocent people. Edward would wear this outfit to ambush his targets and take them to the same field always, where he would do unspeakable things. Soon he grew tired of this and became bold enough to enter people's homes, going after everyone inside. He did this after watching them for weeks, obsessing over every detail of their routine to figure out when they were the most weak, vulnerable, and unsuspecting. His outfit was made for more than just inspiring terror. These long nails were sewn into the fabric facing outward so that he couldn't easily be grabbed. He also wore these bracelets with nails for some reason, and also to avoid ever getting handcuffed if the police arrived. Looking at him without the mask, and near his family, you'd never expect this father was capable of such horror. Then again, his child's uncertain expression says that Lewis Clark and his friends want to check out this old abandoned train up close to see what's in it. All the train cars are mostly empty, but then they see something horrible in the caboose.
What is that? What? What the Oh my god.
The sheets are covered in red splotches and appear to have something heavy underneath them, but Lewis Clark and his friends don't dare unwrap them. They run away from the scene as fast as possible instead, jumping over a second sheet in the process. What was under these sheets, if anything, is anyone's guess, though many have speculated that both incidents could have been covering an actual body. As far as I know, Lewis Clark and his friends have not returned to unwrap the sheets, and they probably never will. a YouTuber named Skits comes across a man lying motionless in his car with the door wide open. They check his pulse, which is reasonable, but instead of calling the police or an ambulance, they decide to do him a solid and drive him home to the address on his registration. I mean, it's a nice gesture and all, but if this guy was having a serious medical problem and passes away on their watch, then I'm pretty sure they could be held responsible. Anyway, when they finally pull up to his house, they let themselves in using his keys and leave him in a safe spot. Just when they think they've done their good deed for the day, something completely unexpected happens.
Bobby!
Oh, go.
We were just trying to help her.
All this poor woman sees is two strangers standing in her home over someone she knows. She probably thought they were in the middle of breaking in. They run out the door, but since they came here in someone else's car, I'm not sure where they were going, but they managed to get away. I feel like this situation could have been avoided by just knocking on the door instead of going straight inside without at least announcing themselves. The whole situation borders on the edge of being implausible. Do you think it really happened? Klaus finds something in his basement that's so scary. He has set up multiple cameras in his basement to try and capture it on camera. All he finds is this extra creepy layer of skin dried up against the wall. Listening to the sound the skin makes when touched is enough to make me want to peel out of my own.
What in the world?
He says it's juvenile, and I'd say that's a safe bet since it can't be finished growing if it is still shedding its skin from time to time.
Ladies and gentlemen, that right there is a big snake. And it's somewhere in my basement.
You can see where the snake used the grooves between two stones to rub off its old skin and emerge even bigger than before. A Google search reveals snakes will come into the basement through basement cracks and even through drains if you have any plumbing hooked up down there. Once they're in, the only way to get them to leave is to remove them by hand or call for help. The description says it's over 3 feet long. Assuming he measured accurately, I'd say it's time to leave this one up to the pros. I've analyzed some of Lainey and Ben's footage in previous videos, and I'm completely convinced that their home is 100% haunted. Here's yet another video to prove it. Published in November of 2021, the couple is attempting to use an EMF meter to talk to a spirit named Dave who hangs around their home. Well, usually you'd expect for the meter to go off. That's apparently not the way Dave communicates. Instead, as the couple encourages Dave to communicate with them, setting the meter upright on the table in front of them, the meter is knocked over, causing them both to jump in shock. You might assume that it just fell over, but when you look closely, it certainly appears as though it was thrown down by a malevolent force. Something tells me Dave is the strong, silent type. April and Kevin of a YouTube channel called AK Explorations team up with some of their ghost hunting friends to take on the Florida Grand Opera House, a historic location established in 1884 that is rumored to have acquired quite a few spirits over the past 135 years. April stands behind the scenes and gazes upon a row after row of empty seats. She's busy taking in the sights when she captures this paranormal moment on camera. At 4 minutes and 48 seconds, a shadow figure walks between the red curtains on the other side of the opera. I was thinking that this could have just been the shadow of one of the other people she was with, except for 3 things. First, there's also a passing shadow on her side of the room at 4 minutes and 46 seconds. It happens next to her, in exactly 2 seconds before it happens again on the other side of the room. Second, there's a really weird noise before the shadow person appears. She kinda makes a sigh, but there's also like a shrieking noise or something at the same time. Third of all, these orbs appear when she tries to tell Kevin about the experience.
Who's back there? I waited. I saw someone walk back there.
Next, they go to the balcony seats, and a strange feeling overtakes April at 7 minutes and 27 seconds.
Weird up here, guys. Let's sit here for a minute. Actually, here for a minute.
This strange white anomaly appears 2 seconds after she says she doesn't feel normal up here. It does look like a floating hair, but it also kind of looks like a phantom outline walking down the steps. The feeling grows so strong that she needs to step away and regather her thoughts. She turns around and is sure she's being watched again, and I'm almost sure I see the curtains move right where she believes it to be.
Guys, it feels really weird. Right here. Chelsea's doing her awfulest down there.
When AK Explorations aren't exploring fancy operas, they are usually busy investigating much less sophisticated haunts, like this chicken farm in the middle of nowhere. Eyes are on them from afar before they've even stepped foot inside, hopefully those of a wild animal rather than a restless spirit, though probably the latter based on what they soon encounter.
Middle of the night, by ourselves.
April immediately feels watched as they enter the abandoned home. She turns around and her light barely manages to catch more eyes, along with whatever this is.
Sorry, I heard something behind me.
It's a different color than the surrounding green plants, and it looks much closer than anything else, possibly even on the porch with her. She doesn't notice and moves on. Inside, all of the windows are blacked out so that no light gets through. Though I don't know why anyone would choose to do this, and I was hoping you might have a reason for it. In the corner of the living room is a knotted rope surrounded by flies. I don't know what happened here, but I'm glad they didn't check to see what's inside the black garbage bag right next to the rope. Next, April and Kevin sweep over the house with a black light to see if there are any signs of a struggle. Sure enough, at 10 minutes and 33 seconds, they find a red stain on the bed that is not visible without their equipment. A second similar red stain is found on the mattress at 10 minutes and 42 seconds, so something happened here. A noise interrupts April right as she suspects someone could still be in here.
Do you hear that?
I'll admit that I didn't hear anything at first, but soon a strange hum fills the air. This house has no power, so nothing should be humming at all. You really hear it at 11 minutes and 30 seconds.
Babe, come here. Oh, come here, let's go here.
The noise guides them to one room in particular. Something in their mind tells them not to go any further. A sixth sense warning that danger is near. April reasons that the floor might not be able to support their weight, but I'm pretty sure they felt the presence of whatever this is.
Is this just, you think it's safe to walk on?
It's a noise they do not hear until they watch the video much later. Looking back, all they knew was that it was time to leave. On April 5th of 2016, this mysterious UFO was seen hovering around the International Space Station at 7:23 in the morning during a NASA live stream.
I'll have to close out and open it back up again. Copy.
A flat disk slowly rises on the blue horizon in the distance. It grows larger and larger and then appears to briefly invert itself while continuing to the surface. I have no idea what this thing could be, so please give me your best guess. As far as I know, NASA has yet to give an official explanation. 01 Supernatural Studio takes a tour of this most haunted hospital in Asia.
其实这个地方的建筑是创立于1903年，据说在第二次世界大战开始，日本就占领了菲律宾，然后将这个地方改建成医院还有基地。然而，日军开始节节败退的时候，并撤离了菲律宾。
As this team explores the place, they are sensing energies at each turn.
然后随着脚步声前往的时候，那个警卫看见了一位高大的男性，并且穿着着军装， 但因为灯光的关系
Did you see something in the darkness? In the next room again, they feel jumpy.
非常的清楚知道他看到鬼了。没错，那一定是鬼。
I'm not sure if that was a ghost or just a trick of the light, but this next one is hard to deny. Watch the doorway as this man reaches the bottom of the stairs.
每一个医院都会有一个太平间，然而我记得那个时候是发生越战，每天都会送到医院来相当多的伤患跟军人。
It looks like a figure passes at the end of the hall. Next, a strange shadow falls over this creepy hallway.
在这个地方工作的人，他说他真的很不喜欢这一条走廊，因为
They continue the tour and it just gets spookier from there.
接下来这个故事呢，其实是一位住在当地的美国人所告知的。
The pit looks like it drops all the way to the fiery depths below. They explore further and find this creepy underground bunker.
我朋友他的朋友告诉我的，当地曾经有一群年轻人跑进去这个废弃医院内探险。他们这一群年轻人有几个甚至还在医院内玩着。
While we didn't see or hear any blatant ghosts on this tour, there's no denying this place is beyond creepy. I know I wouldn't want to wander those halls. The UK explorer reaches the top floor of an abandoned house and finds himself standing outside of an old break room kitchen. He takes a single step inside and is met with the sound of old material crumbling beneath his feet.
Just going into one of the rooms that we found in a house that belonged to the factory. Nice kitchen. I did in fact fall. Luckily I didn't go right through.
He falls up to his waist and puts his arms out at the last second to save himself, shutting off his camera in the process. A newly formed hole in the brittle floor shows a massive drop, ending in piles of sharp-edged debris. Even if he did survive the fall, no one was around to help 4 miles in all directions. Number 11. A YouTuber named Frostbitten looks out his window one evening and sees what he thinks is Slenderman peering up at him from below. You can see it much better when he moves away from the screen door.
Oh crap. Oh crap.
I do see what he's talking about, and so do some other viewers in the comments section. I can't tell for sure, but it looks like something with a pale head and long arms might be looking up at him. I can't really make out if it's wearing a suit or standing behind the tree. Then again, maybe this human-like shape is simply light reflecting off of the woods. Let me know if you can see what Frostbitten is talking about, and if you agree with him or not. Turnshaw's special school in Kirkburton was destroyed by a massive fire in July of 2009. Many residents phoned the fire department after noticing flames coming from the building. Hurd and his crew of 50 firefighters were dispatched to the area around 6 p.m. The size of the fire was enormous and required a lot of manpower. The crew managed to control the fire enough to save one of the buildings, but it took all night and 5 jets to take down the flames. Residents were told to stay indoors while the fire department did its job. The fumes were thick and some residents claimed that the firefighters were warning residents about asbestos. Huddersfield Fire Station crew manager Mark Hurd stated that these were indicators that the fire was started on purpose. It's unclear where the investigation into the matter led, but this was certainly one extremely large fire. These 2 unidentified flying object sightings are eerily similar, posted on Reddit by GamersGen. These 2 sightings from Miami and Beijing are comparative. The first appeared in Beijing on February 3, 1995. The unidentified flying object hovers as an illuminated yellow disc in the evening sky. After a while, it starts to glide slowly overhead. Gamersgen posts a second video in the comments, one which looks similar to the first but was captured on October 20th, 1995. This unidentified flying object was spotted along a freeway. The driver pulled over to capture it hovering near an apartment complex and then over Miami Airport. Gamersgen suggests that today, unidentified flying objects aren't seen as often for a reason. His theory? They have become more cautious, and further said, they seem to be extremely aware of us observing them, and above all, they don't want to be compromised. What do you think? It makes sense to me, and these two sightings are certainly quite similar. The Haunted Hub is a YouTube channel that posts full paranormal investigations taken throughout England. This time they find themselves in a Victorian hospital called Thackeray, where starvation, beatings, and other extreme punishments were the norm. As the night progresses, they find themselves communicating with the spirit of a nun. One member holds a cross in front of him, and they all watch in amazement as orbs seem to follow wherever he goes.
What's in my hand? I'm gonna walk up and down here.
As Tony evokes a response holding a crucifix, look closely and observe.
I usually don't think much of orbs because they could just be specks of dust, but I will admit that the timing of these orbs is often uncanny.
The ladies here like to speak. I've got a cross in my hand. Does that offend you or does that make you happy? Come speak with us, please.
It really looks like they can see the orbs too. Like during this part, for example. First you see the orb, then moments later the man on the left turns around and appears to see something too. Moments like this one happen throughout the video, and makes me think all of this is real. They also pick up some really weird noises on their spirit box. This part sounds like something from another world trying to speak in human tongues. And tell me if this sounds like a spirit who is asking for help. Something's cooking in this kitchen. Published by Sasha 180683 in December of 2012. A poltergeist is startling this haunted resident. As the resident enters, a curtain that's hung in front of a washer and dryer keeps fluttering. Then a cupboard pushes open on its own, one of its doors thudding against the stove. The door swings closed and open, moving uncannily. The curtain again moves strangely around, and then back to the cupboard door. The cameraman slowly backs out of the room and then moves forward again, getting a closer look at the cupboard door and the curtain. No strings and the window isn't open. He shows the camera that it's 2 a.m. After closing the cupboard again, the door swings open, and the curtain plays around a bit more. What invisible energy powers this kitchen? A poltergeist would be my guess. A YouTuber named Stromedy takes a drone above a gigantic field and finds 3 people in long black robes gathered around a small object on the floor, possibly a book or an offering of some kind. Here you can see the square object again, though it's now gray for some reason instead of black like before. They throw it to the ground and begin to circle around it in what could be a second phase of the ritual, probably chanting the whole while too, I would imagine. And I don't know if this is a reflection of the sun or what, but at 13 minutes and 7 seconds, this eerie red light washes over them all. Stromedy loses control over the drone as soon as it is spotted by them. Now you can see they are all wearing white masks. One of the members, the only one with a hood over his head, and possibly the leader, reaches up. The drone obediently flies closer, despite Stromedy holding the opposite direction on the controls. The leader releases control of the drone and hastily picks up the square object. Then they retreat to 3 corners and form a mysterious triangle, backs turned. Should anyone recognize this ritual, please let me know what it all means, because it's got me freaking out. Exploring abandoned places is supposed to be an adventure, but it can also lead to some unexpected encounters. YouTube channel Explore Abandoned Places with Tattoo Tony Alton published this video in October of 2016 writing, we ran into 4 very strange people and were surprised while exploring. 2 that I got really bad vibes from, They seem like they may be wanted and running from the police. The school does look pretty creepy from the outside, and when you enter, the eeriness heightens. The place looks like a haunted house, graffiti lining the walls, broken windows, loads of decay and rubble on the ground. Early on in the video, Tony notes that this guy wouldn't stay out of his camera shots. About 20 minutes into the video, Tony comes across 4 men and quickly turns the camera away from them, so they don't grow angry or suspicious of his motives. While the entire encounter isn't shown, at the end of the video, Tony describes the men and explains what happened off camera. He says that 2 looked harmless, one was an old man, pockmarked and crazy, and the last guy was younger, shifty and acting strange. 2 of the dudes kept inviting Tony downstairs to see some cool stuff, but he got a bad vibe from them and was worried about getting his equipment taken. The weirdest thing was one offered to babysit his kids whenever Tony wants to go exploring. More than a little creepy. In the midst of the desert, this hole is hiding something. TikToker Sicaria Al98 shares this mysterious video. Happening upon a deep dark pit in the middle of the desert is a mystery in and of itself, but the sounds coming from its depths take this mystery to the next level. It sounds to me like shrieking cats, but others suggest these are the chilling wails of those who have passed on. Is this a portal to the fiery depths below? If so, seal that thing back up ASAP. A YouTuber named the Ghost Metalhead 666 is filming an empty room in the castle of King Henry VIII when suddenly a visitor materializes before his very eyes. Look in the bottom left corner to see it. The YouTuber captures the translucent outline of a small child. You can see how the toddler starts out on the floor and unsteadily climbs to its feet. The head, arms, and legs are unmistakably human-like. If someone is any good with video editing, then let me know if this is fake or the real thing. Otherwise, as more than one person pointed out in the comments section, Henry VIII did have many stillborns during his reign as king, and this perhaps could be one of them.
You see this key? This key is gonna save my life.
A YouTube channel called Snake Hunters TV takes a risky challenge by locking himself in with a Burmese python and hides the key. He hides the key and shuts the locked tank door behind himself. Now it's up to his daughter Carista to save his life. The snake senses a new object is near and starts flicking its tongue, trying to sense if it's food.
Man. Lock me in! Am I locked in? Yep. I can't get out.
He knows not to make any sudden movements or else the snake will react. He has to stay calm. When the snake gets in his lap, he knows he's in trouble and has to slowly stretch his legs out without panicking. By the end of the challenge, he's huddled in the corner with the snake pushed as far away as the claustrophobic tank allows. I'm thinking they fed the snake before making the video to make it less likely to be hostile because it hardly seems interested in him by the time he leaves. But hungry or not, crawling into the den of a 12-foot python is one challenge I could never take. Don't accept help from just anyone. They might not be what you think. YouTuber Scaryfield shares this creepy video which is trending in the Hindi-speaking YouTube community. The video is actually from YouTube channel True Horror Stories POV, and this horror story occurred on a dark road at night. In the beginning, the woman starts having car trouble in a cursed place.
Mati dah pula.
After pulling to the side of the road, a random stranger stops to help her.
Oh, cik, Kereta saya daripada tadi tak tahu asal tak boleh start. Dia termati-mati daripada saya jalan tadi. Tak tahu apa pasal.
Boleh saya tolong?
The guy checks out a few things, but each time the woman attempts to start her car, it's still having trouble.
Tak ada lah. Tak boleh. Tak tahulah asal.
The man then tells her that it's not a mechanical problem.
Tapi tadi kereta saya betul-betul mati. Bukan?
Benda ikut ni.
Benda ikut? Benda apa, cik?
Cuba tengok kat dalam kereta sekarang.
Dalam kereta?
But rather that something attached itself to her on the cursed route she took, and maybe he was right.
Cik!
While this is just a reenactment, these incidents are said to be based on true events. Well, if this happened to me in real life, I can't imagine I'd live to tell the tale. It's a rainy day in Bradford, Pennsylvania, and a YouTuber named Bulldog is with his girlfriend in the backyard. They are taking random videos and talking about nothing in particular when they encounter something that makes them think they are not so alone after all.
Whoa, that was weird. I just saw something run across the screen.
Liar.
Some sort of smoke or mist appears to briefly transform into the shape of a person, taking a few brisk steps, and then fully dissipates. Bulldog says it looked like someone who is running, and I agree that it does resemble the upper torso and shoulders of someone in motion. With that said, it looks to me like the figure may also be lacking a head. There's a YouTube channel called the Zeroeth Folio of Shakespeare that posts nothing but weird Shakespearean quotes in a low, menacing voice. Somebody has been posting dozens of these videos for over a year now, despite most of them having only 5 views or less. I don't really understand what these videos could possibly mean individually or when put together. All I know is that it's almost like whoever is uploading these videos is on some kind of mysterious mission with a hidden purpose that I doubt is benign. Anyway, here's where things get really weird. The right side of these videos has always shown static for the past year, but at the end of their latest video, posted 4 months ago, the static suddenly clears and this scary event happens. I also noticed how the thumbnail for this video looks different than the others, further adding to the mystery. All of the other thumbnails show the same image of static, but this newest one clearly shows a strange looking man wearing what appears to be clothing from another time period. Take a look at the channel and let me know if you think this is just a clever gimmick or some kind of nefarious creation loaded with hidden messages. If you're going to poke fun at the afterlife, you'd better be willing to cross over yourself. Published in September of 2021, these paranormal investigators dive into the mystical Black Forest, a mysterious place in which the occult and other cryptic happenings occur. Here's what they found. The men immediately try to pester the spirits, preparing a ritual in which incense is burning upside down. This, they say, is intended to insult the spirit, and this spirit apparently doesn't take to the insult kindly. As the group sits in wait, watching the incense burn, while a candle glows beside it, suddenly the plastic bottle the incense was placed in bursts. It flies off the altar, knocking the candlelight out as well. The pair wonder if something flew into it, although it looks more like something burst out of it. What do you think happened here? Does this spirit have a really short fuse? A YouTuber named Ola Bible lives in the middle of the forest in Oregon, far away from civilization. So when he hears noises outside of his house late at night, he curiously pokes around his backyard with a camera to find the source. It isn't long before he comes across an object that looks out of place. It looks like it could just be a rock or something, but he's memorized this area well enough to know it's foreign in nature. He zooms in.
The heck is that?
Then he says something out loud to himself and draws unwanted attention.
Oh my god!
A thin humanoid creature cranes its impossibly long neck in his direction. Look closely and you'll even see a surprised expression on its face, almost as if it's been caught doing something secretive. I can't tell if it's feasting on an animal, or maybe even burying something in the ground. He spins around and runs away before we get a chance to figure out what it's doing for sure. I guess the video could just be special effects, but I can't tell for certain. Maybe a follow-up video taken during the day would give us more conclusive evidence. A paranormal YouTube channel called Northwest Ghost Adventures claims his haunted attic has the most ghost activity out of anywhere in the UK. Here are two of the best examples of paranormal evidence. On February of 2018, the Northwest Ghost Adventures channel made a breakthrough EVP session with a possessed doll named Lily. 3 times in a row, the same male voice speaks through the spirit box.
Hi, spirits. Yeah, I'm okay. Can you tell me the name of this doll? My name's Lily.
I think it even starts talking backwards here, which is something I've never heard a spirit box even do before, and also possibly evidence of a demonic ghost EVP caught on camera. The ghost hunter administers some more paranormal experiments, and Lily the possessed doll passes them all.
Can you show us an orb, please? Thank you. Can you show me your orbs?
A month later, he claims to have been possessed while investigating. He spends the night in his haunted attic, and his eyes open when the spirit box says awake. He looks around in a trance-like state for some time. Notice how the ghost meter stays maxed out for over a full minute, beginning at 1 minute and 7 seconds, and continuing until the moment his head hits the pillow at 2 minutes and 26 seconds, at which point the lights go out entirely. As if the demon has left. Was I possessed, he later asks, and I think most of us will agree that yes, he was. A ghost hunting crew named Full Moon Inc. Paranormal Investigators are certain they've caught some paranormal activity surrounding a cursed mirror recently purchased at a yard sale. Here's their evidence. A ghost does seem to unclasp the lock. The only way to fake this is with a string, which would be fairly easy to detect at close range, especially against the dark wood. Within a month, the ghost seems to have spread from the haunted mirror and into the kids' room. The Full Moon Inc. investigators are shocked to see a stuffed animal moving on its own. They suspect the toy is haunted by a ghost trying to play with them. The toy on top barely moves. Was the object moved by a ghost or by one of the paranormal investigators hiding behind? Both incidents look real, but let's get your opinion on these paranormal encounters. A paranormal researcher named Eduardo Haunter is exploring an abandoned hospital in the northern part of Mexico City. He gets pretty far and eventually sets up a camera in an old examination room, hoping to record some scary things on video. At 3 a.m., things get pretty weird. An old chair groans under the weight of an apparent ghost doctor sitting down. I don't think this was done with a string either. The top half of the chair moves while the wheels remain stationary. Or perhaps Eduardo simply put the wheels in a locked position first. I'm not sure what to believe. There's arguments for both explanations, so take one last look and help me decide. A wild dog takes a piece of meat into the corner and devours it in large bites. The dog's ribs jut out, and I'm willing to bet it hasn't seen a meal like this in a long time. It's no doubt willing to do whatever to keep this food, and in a moment you're about to see for yourself. The animal tenses up and then charges the camera. At the 6-second mark, you can see it appears to chomp the fence in an attempt to get to them. Luckily, the cameraman appears to be alright. These underground tunnels in Manchester, England were once used to escape air raids in the 1940s. Countless people huddled for their lives down here en masse, and their collective theory is thought to have left a haunting impression ever since. Now a YouTube channel called Dark Arts TV investigates these tunnels to see what he can discover with his own eyes. It isn't long before his blue light shines upon a rail-thin figure standing at a bizarre angle. They are a good distance away, but it looks like they might be wearing baggy trousers and a vest with oversized sleeves, reminiscent of the 40s era. If this is not a ghost to you, then what do you think this is? As he turns the corner, his camera picks up what appears to be a pair of human legs hanging out a small hole in the wall. What's most terrifying is how Dark Arts TV doesn't seem to notice the legs at the time, as if they weren't visible in real life. And to further back this theory, when you pause at 24 minutes and 28 seconds, the beam of his flashlight seems to move through them. Finally, as they prepare to leave, they encounter this shadowy face directly behind them. It doesn't look like a person per se, but rather the fading memory of someone who was present, now doomed to repeat a terrifying moment forever.
Eyebrows, a hairline, the chin. You can even see at the bottom here, if you can just catch the end of my thumb, where I'm covering now, there you can see the line of his neck as his head is bent round the corner.
It's midnight when this ladder starts walking by itself in an apartment building garage. It looks like it has to be the work of a ghost, but it's actually on a very gradual ramp moving down. This middle section of the ladder, called a spreader, looks like it's too worn out to lock in place anymore, and so the ladder almost tips over and then catches itself, taking another step forward in the process. But still, somebody has to bump the ladder first to get it moving. So if this just spontaneously happened out of nowhere, then that's a cause for concern. What on earth is this creature? Nair BR writes of this bizarre sighting on camera. This strange creature got caught up in strong winds, and his wife was cleaning when it blew into the house. I was thinking it might be a territorial dispute between two insects, but as it unravels at 2 minutes and 25 seconds, it looks like one big creepy squirming oddity. The way it moves is unlike a snake or a worm or anything I've really seen before. It looks just as confused of us as we are of it, forming strange spiral shapes as it tumbles about, reaching out for something to grab onto. A host, perhaps. Whatever it is, it looks like something that crawls straight up your nose and takes over your brain. A parasite moving on to its next victim. Now that I've seen it, much like Nair BR, I want to know what on earth this creature is, and so I turn to you for an explanation. Residents in Tallahassee, Florida, feared for their lives when this strange and haunting sound echoed throughout their area for over 20 minutes.
It's not back that way, it's up in this corner. Don't go out there.
There's little doubt that this video is real, as you can hear the fear in the family's voices.
Get the kids in the bathroom.
I hear the wind.
Get the kids in the bathroom.
Get in the bathroom. Kids.
I thought it was a tornado, but the person in the video doesn't. They called 911 and learned that police were apparently flooded with concerned complaints about the noise. The person who recorded this footage says that the local news was told to report this as an airplane. This doesn't really sound like an airplane to me. There's one other strange occurrence, a sudden flash of lightning that instantly makes the noise disappear.
If it is to get into a safe. Uh-oh, what was that? I don't hear it anymore, Tim.
I've never been in a tornado before, so I can't say if this video looks normal or not. I'm especially looking for opinions from people who have been in one. Do you agree with the uploader that this could have been something more than a tornado, like a government weather experiment? Barry is positive that a spirit is moving around stuff in his house, so he takes a random object, puts it in the middle of the floor. This cat toy is remote controlled, so he puts the controller next to the toy to show that he is not messing with it at all. Nothing happens until almost 4 minutes into the video.
Okay.
Then nothing else happens until another 4 minutes later, when suddenly there's a second burst of movement. When it moves on its own a third time, Barry is confident that he has gathered enough evidence and stops recording. My only explanation is that Barry actually has 2 of these cat toys and was holding a second remote controller in his hands. However, you can just tell by looking at the controller that the big plastic buttons would probably make a loud clicking noise when pressed. Yet I never hear the button being pressed at all. Well, I think there's a good chance that this is real. Maybe Barry could record this again while showing himself in a mirror, just so we can see there is nothing in his hands. A dark alley gets even creepier when a mysterious figure peeks in from nowhere. At 6 seconds, it straightens up and briefly assumes a human form before losing its shape and abruptly flying away. A ghost sighting has been caught on tape if this security video is to be believed. If not, then it looks like an insect landed on the lens to create this effect and then flew away. Ghost Hunter Emax has some of the creepiest videos in the small but growing Japanese ghost hunter community. Videos with scary moments like this one that will haunt you for a long time. He's exploring an abandoned hospital when he senses something paranormal is near, a ghost in the same hallway.
なんかいる感じするもんね。こんなね、したりしたんだけど、さあ行ってみたい。あ、これが今こっちに動いたんだよな。
It's just there 1 second at 10 minutes 16 seconds. And within 2 seconds, it's being pushed back 3 feet into the closet. Did he really see a wheelchair move by itself while exploring a haunted hospital? Or did someone pull it from off camera? The video looks convincing, but I guess we'll never know. This video looks like it was intentionally set up to capture something that has been appearing in a closet lately. At first, you can't really see anything, but after a while, the shadows begin to form into a human-like figure. The shadowy shape peeks out from behind the door, and at one point even appears to have 2 bright white eyes. The grainy quality of this video is a strong indication that it was edited. But then again, this may be a very old cell phone video, or perhaps a very early internet video that needed to be heavily compressed before uploading. This faded family footage goes from heartwarming to horrifying when you realize what this father has done to become a wanted man with a $100,000 reward on his head. According to the FBI, this man extinguished his entire family, wife included, and then created a gas leak in the home. He lit a candle and the house went up in an instant to cover his tracks. This was back in 2001 and no traces of him have been uncovered. He is still on the top 10 most wanted list just in case. From voices to semi-transparent figures, baby monitors have been known to throw off all types of creepy vibes. This is amongst the creepiest. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit, the OP writes, I'm 96% sure we caught a ghost on camera, pulling on my almost 2-year-old son's leg while he was sleeping in his crib. The scary video shows the baby lying face down in his crib, both of his legs tucked near the bars. At first, the baby's left leg looks like it's being repeatedly pulled toward and even through the bars, but this could just be the baby himself sticking his feet there. But then all of a sudden, the baby's leg is lifted upwards, beyond the scope of ordinary baby abilities. It folds and is even bent at the knee and pulled backward. The leg is then extended out, then yanked behind its other leg and pulled between the bars. It's pulled upwards and back again, bent at the knee. This is done repeatedly until the leg is yanked so far backward that it seems to wake the baby up. He throws his head back and then pulls both legs beneath him. All the while, a strange white orb roams across the screen, floating above him. Some in the comments even say it seems to move in sync with the pulling of the leg. Most Redditors are terrified in the comments. Others think the ghost may have been trying to flip the baby over, so he wasn't sleeping on his stomach. But myself and nearly everyone agrees with Redditor Malin, who writes, "Straight up the most convincing ghost video I've ever seen." In a frightening Twitter thread, Gregory88 shares a frankly freaky series of posts about an experience in the woods, including a video that has Twitter more than a bit concerned. Greg's thread begins on November 30th, 2018, where he claims to have seen something in the woods. He tweets, "Even though it might not be super safe to be out alone in the woods, it still feels better than being home all the time." He continues writing that he was walking in some woods that would be pretty if they didn't feel so creepy. Just when he was starting to feel at ease, he came across something strange in a clearing, but he only made it about 30 feet before he ran into something much creepier. He posts a picture of what he found. It appears to be an animal skull of some kind, mounted on a rock within a blackened triangle. Other smaller rocks are placed around the triangle, and on the skull in some sort of ritualistic looking design. Greg writes that he discovered something new in the wilderness every day, but he isn't nearer to comprehending what's going on. He said he felt dizzy as he headed away from the rock towards his home, but again he didn't make it far before he ran into yet another fright, a hooded woman dressed in black hovering at a distance on a hillside looking at nothing. Greg says she didn't see him as he hid behind a tree. Apparently he'd seen her before in these woods, but it had been weeks since his last sighting. After she left the hillside and drifted off into the forest, Greg darted home, fearing the whole while that she'd pop out and confront him. He asks the Twitter sphere if she's a witch. If not, what are these strange ritualistic displays? He also claims the video is proof that his imagination hadn't run wild. At this point, I just want answers, and I feel like I'm getting close to getting them, Greg writes. I'm just scared of what they might be. We're all pretty scared, Greg. We all are. This scary Randonautica is brought to you by YouTuber CJ Faison. While in Las Vegas, CJ ventured out to the random location he was sent to by the app. The Randonautica takes CJ and his crew into the middle of the desert, where they discover a photo of CJ taken with some female fans at the Mirage Hotel from 2014.
I'm literally shaking. I have chills up and down my body.
We've got nothing all day long.
Look at that.
We've been struggling. What was that? Yo! That's a picture of me!
Yeah.
CJ says that one of the girls in the photo is named Julia. Alongside the photo is a note that includes CJ's full name and some other personal information.
The dark-haired girl in the middle, I met her in 2000, and I believe it was 2013, when I was racing in NASCAR at Richmond International Speedway.
Nearby, they also discover a wallet with some random stuff in it, including a room key for the Luxor, which is where CJ is staying.
Makes sense because we're in Vegas. There's another Luxor room key.
Oh, dude. I'm staying at the f***ing Luxor.
As they ponder this mystery in the desert, a couple of cars pass by and a girl shouts out at them, "Randonautica video, boys, come on." Is it Julia? A YouTuber recalls another video that CJ shot where he's reading texts about him from Aaron Valentino. The YouTuber notes that these texts mention the year 2014.
Very well that you have stumbled upon this phone. I know many things about you. I know that you wish you could change some things that happened to your life in 2014.
The same year listed on Julia's picture, as well as the quote that CJ read on the back of the photograph. The quote was, "The ones who aren't afraid control life itself," which is a quote from infamous Richard Ramirez, aka the Night Stalker. Yikes. Later, the crew notices something off in the distance, watching them.
Hold on, give me a sec. Let me zoom out first. It's right there. Oh.
Person. Can you record that for the video?
Did someone plant this stuff here? Is that someone watching the group across several Randonauticas from Pocomoke Forest in Maryland to the desert outside of Las Vegas, Nevada? Several YouTubers in the comments think this crew is being tracked or their phones have been hacked into. Perhaps these Randonauticas aren't so random after all. A YouTuber named Joe Shoemaker is exploring an abandoned road on Elm Street in Ohio. At the end of this overgrown dirt road is supposed to be a notorious house with a long and haunted history. The road itself is ominously closed, and they have to break the rules just to get there. After driving for a while, their headlights barely manage to illuminate the dark and collapsing exterior of a house that looks more like a creepy old shack rather than a place where any normal person would actually ever live. The front porch is an unpassable pile of broken boards and sharp wooden splinters, so John has to walk around the perimeter to find another way inside. The back entrance is a scratched up wooden door. John isn't even sure if someone still lives here or not, but he turns the rusted knob and stands in the door. The inside is barren and lacks insulation. A long ventilation duct runs completely exposed across the length of the wall. Pipes hang on strings for no reason. He hesitates for a moment and takes a single uneasy step inside. Nothing happens, so he takes another step and makes the mistake of letting down his guard.
I'm so scared.
Just when he feels safe, some sort of blue humanoid figure comes from the bottom of the screen and jumps him. I mean, this could just be one of his friends, but here's the thing. When you look closely at the creature that pops out in front of him, you'll see it only has a single misshapen eye. As the Electric City paranormal ghost investigators walk down a dimly lit hall, the camera person makes a joke to help ease the tension. Take a look where the red arrow is. The empty spot is about to become important in a second. As soon as he turns around, he gets his question answered in the form of a tall silhouette. No one was there just a second ago, but someone is there now. A living shadow that somehow stands out in near total darkness. The story of Sally in the Wood goes something like this. Located outside Bath in Somerset, there's a road that passes into the woodland of Brown's Folly, which locals refuse to drive down after dark due to the terrifying legend surrounding it, known by locals as Sally in the Wood. It is said that no birds can be heard chirping through this stretch of the forest, as a girl has her life taken there and now haunts the place. Some say they've heard a screaming child in the dark forest, and some have seen a full-bodied apparition of a girl racing into the road at night. The legends are all over the place about Sally in the Woods. According to some, Sally was an 18th century gypsy girl who was held captive in a tower, where she perished. The website Wiltshire Paranormal claims that this story is entirely fictional and that the name Sally in the Woods more likely came from a battle that occurred at Brown's Folly in 1643. As Sally is slang for skirmish, this could very well be true. However, the Bathford Society claims that Sally was an actual person, but not the only one who passed away in a tower. This legend claims that Sally was a witch living in a hut in the woods. Local records put Sally's passing at the age of 100, although that wouldn't really explain her appearance as a young girl ghost, unless Sally the witch had the ability to appear youthful. Regardless of what you choose to believe, the generational legend of Sally in the Woods lives on, and the resulting fear can be felt throughout this video, published to YouTube by the Abandoned Prepper in March of 2020, examining various parts of the house up close. The abandoned prepper wanders through this haunted place solo. Some parts of the house appear deeply aged, while others recall the more recent past. There's an old piano, a strange lock on the door, and an old photo box in the basement that appears as though they're from another century, but other parts of the home look as though they're from the 60s or 70s. Prepper says that he can hear water running and regularly hears strange noises. Shortly after entering, there's a definite sound of glasses clinking about upstairs while he is downstairs.
My days, this is massive. I'm getting a bit scared now. Hello?
Prepper calls out to alert anyone else exploring the house to his presence. He also said the house has recently become a hotspot for urban explorers. He returns to the first floor and then upstairs to the second. He keeps hearing strange noises throughout. Birds are chirping and the sound of running water.
What? Someone's flooding the basement.
He compares the house to Amityville and says it definitely gives him bad vibes. While he explores the adjacent house, at one point he enters a room. Notice there's no blue ball here. He heads upstairs and there's a loud sound of something wooden slamming or falling down. When he returns to that same room later, there's a blue ball in the middle of it. The call is coming from inside the house. He also finally discovers where the sound of running water was coming from. The basement of the house is being flooded. There's a hose passing down there, so it looks like it was done intentionally. As he's getting ready to head out of the home, he turns the corner to descend the stairs. That's when you hear the strike of a piano key.
Off. Hello?
While at the same time the hallway light bulb is swinging back and forth, he races down to catch whoever struck the cord, but there's no one. Finally outside, he turns back to look at the dark shell of a house. You can literally feel the creepiness shed away from you. When things go haywire in your own home, it's easy to jump to a paranormal conclusion, especially when there appears to be poltergeist activity. Posted to YouTube in January of 2012, the uploader explains, "This is real footage taken at my house. As you can see the way the bottle moves, this is inhuman and impossible for a human to make a bottle move and gesture in these motions. This is totally real and scary. So if you are faint of heart, do not watch this, please. This is video of real paranormal activity." In the video, the men enter the kitchen, where a bottle on the floor appears to be rolling around of its own accord. After they enter the room, it stops for a moment before spinning around again. It twirls on its side and then stands straight up on its base. One brave man picks it up and puts it on the kitchen counter, which is where the clip ends. YouTuber MRLWAP2 in the comments suggests there's helium in the plastic bottle, but most people are more alarmed by the zebra pattern cupboards than the so-called ghost. Jenny Chanel writes that zebra print would make even a plastic bottle want to escape a room. So is this a supernatural case, or simply a case of terrible interior design? Only that soda bottle knows. After Snapchatting, a kid knocked down some stuff with a soccer ball. The boy's father confronts this teen over it. He deletes the Snapchat, but the father wants the police called. He tries to run, but the father grabs his waist and tells him he's not going anywhere.
I'm not filming your kid. You're not leaving anywhere. He's holding me up against the bikes. Hey, sir in the red hat. Yes, sir. Hey, can you come back, please? Yes, sir. Call him. Call him. Call him. Nobody's touching you. You hold me up against the bikes. You're trying to walk off. You're going to cuss me out and film my...
The guy recording is obviously frightened at this point and tries to leave multiple times, but is always grabbed and stopped by the father. An officer eventually arrives, and after hearing what happened, he says what the teen did isn't against the law and tells him to take off.
So I am going to ask you to leave, and if something's on there, I ask you. I'm not telling you, please delete it. Yes, no, it's gone. I promise you it's gone. Get out of here. Leave the store. Whatever y'all got to do.
I think it's understandable that this father didn't want his son being recorded, but he handled the situation in a way that made this encounter way worse for everyone involved. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.